And the number 1 seed, Dave Hurt. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2002 Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. I'm Scott Gilmore. We're here at Star Lanes in beautiful Lafayette, Indiana for our 2002 edition. A great TV show this year. We've got a returning champion, a gentleman that's been here 3 years on the TV show. We've got ABC champions. We've got a full list of veterans and experienced players. And now with our number 4 seed, let's join Doug Weidman.
Thank you, Scott. I'm here with Andy Dole, who's our number 4 seed, a former Purdue University bowler. Is not known for having one of the more conservative games out there. Andy, this is not a shot where you can play around a lot. How are you going to get lined up quick, and what's going to be your strategy for only a one-game match?
I plan on playing a shot that's going to try to keep me out of trouble, least fares that I can pick up, and hopefully have some strikes as well.
This is one player that if the lanes do open up, I do see him to put some big numbers up. But right now, more conservative line to the pocket is what's going to be working for him right now. Scott, we're back to you.
Get set for match number 1 here in the 2002 Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. We're going to allow a couple players get a couple shots here before we get the first match underway, but we want to welcome many sponsors this year as we're excited during this year's tournament as the sponsors have jumped on board, and we're very excited about this year's event. And Doug will be joining me here in a second, and we've got a interesting field today. Our number 1 and number 2 seeds in our match play bracket early this morning knocked out 3 games straight, Vinny Atria and Gary Ness respectively. Returning champion not here. We do have a player that has won before, Steve Hartman. Doug, this should be a very interesting day here today.
Well, one of the things I was really interested about the tournament all week long was that you could play any line to the pocket that you want. There was people playing way outside, and there was people who were playing way inside. Execution was primary, and it was very easy to get lost. When the lanes went into transition, it was very difficult to get lined up again and put up a good number. And that's where some of our former champions, people like Vinny Atria and Gary Ness, who normally would bowl very, very well, they just had a hard time getting executing early in the morning. And some of the other players took advantage of that.
Yeah, and the shot was very tough. I don't know what the field average was, but I'm going to predict somewhere in the high to middle 160s. Very grueling competition. We're ready to get set for match number 1. And leading off will be Steve Hartman, the, I believe, 2000 winner of the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open.
Yes, he was.
Looking to be a 2-time champion here in 2002. And here's his first shot on lane number 9. Washout.
Pretty straight up the lane that time. Didn't quite get the roll that he wanted. Probably a little tight. Didn't quite get the hand around the ball. This was a characteristic of the lane all week long, or all weekend long, was the tendency just to give it a little push and flag the head pin.
And Steve's going to try to pick the wash-up out. And just misses, leaving the 10 pin, so an open first frame for Steve Hartman. Want to welcome first match sponsors, Cellular Consultants, authorized singular wireless dealer with 2 locations, State Road 26, inside International Health and Fitness, and a location in Crawfordsville. Also want to welcome Von Tobel Lumber and Hardware for all your do-it-yourself project. Von Tobel's, building a better community in Lafayette, 319 North Earl Avenue. And now here's Andy Dole's first shot on lane 10.
Andy is consummate power player.
Well, in my time, I've never seen anybody that hits the ball with as much emphasis as what Andy does. Andy
really accelerates into the downswing and just drives the hand and snaps. Tremendous speed, tremendous wrist. Actually, Andy's game has become a little bit more conservative and controlled than it used to be when I first saw him when he came to the university.
Andy Dole's tournament average was 193.8. Really struggled in qualifying.
Yeah, Andy and I tried to qualify together, and both of us barely broke 500.
Andy makes the spare, and he starts out with a clean frame. Well, I know not too many players averaged big scores, and just kind of briefly explain the conditions and why there wasn't.
Well, what happened with the lane conditions, there was an out of bounds. And so if you made a small mistake and you pushed the ball a little bit, it would flag the head pin. But then you tried to hit up on one and aim the ball a little bit, and it would catch a dry in the middle, and it would jump across the front of the head pin. So there was very small error margin. You had to hit everything right.
Here's Andy's second shot on lane 9.
Still left of the pocket. Andy needs to loosen the swing up and open the shoulders a little bit. He's got to trust the ball. He's afraid to hit the out of bounds, so he's pointing it a little bit, and now he's sacrificing the head pin to the other side.
Andy from Rockville, Illinois, age 22. Former collegiate player at Purdue. Their team finished second in the IBCs last year. And here he goes after the 9 pin, and he picks it up. So back-to-back spares for Andy Dole, and now Steve Hartman working on an open, trying to get back in this match, trailing early. Matter of fact, he's down 10 going into the second frame with his first shot on lane 10.
We'll see if Steve can relax a little bit, get the hand to roll through the ball a little bit better, get a better ball reaction.
Steve Hartman, part of that 2002 ABC tournament team champion in this past year in Billings, Montana. And he comes in light and leaves a 2-8-10 split. Almost impossible to pick up.
Unless you throw it very hard and get a good break off the wall, this is an unlikely spare conversion. Not hitting the break point just right. He may need to go to a ball with a little more surface or make a small move with his feet.
And Steve going for the 2-8-10 split. Picks off the 2-8, leaves the 10 pin once again. Back-to-back open frames, and he finds himself in a hole early in the match.
If Andy follows through with his strategy of just keeping the ball in play and having makeable spares, Andy will be all right. Steve's in a situation now where he's going to have to press it a little bit.
Now his second ball. Let's see what kind of adjustment he makes after leaving the washout in his first shot on lane 9.
Good stroke. Almost got it there.
He leaves the 4 pin, and he'll try to come back and get his first spare of the game. Kind of a tense crowd here tonight, really quiet. We need to get them loosened up here a little bit. Maybe if we get some strikes by the competitors, we'll get them rocking and rolling in here.
Yeah, we get the bowlers fired up. Trouble. Ooh.
That's why you change spare balls, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you go to a much harder, shinier plastic polyester ball, and if you make that mistake and you set it short, it'll still hold line. Steve's looking a little disappointed now. He wanted to probably force the much younger player, much less experienced player, but now he's the one in the hole.
Here's Andy working on his spare, now in a third frame. And he pushes it through the break point and leaves the 2 pin.
Speed was critical. In a lot of public centers, you know, you can get away with some mistakes and you don't have to line up perfectly and the ball's guided to the pocket. On this shot, you had to have everything right, and speed especially.
Well, Andy's going to try to pick up the 2 pin. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen fast speed, check this out. I would say about 25, 26 miles an hour at the slowest point.
Yeah, Andy can get on it. He's young, he's got really long arm swing, and he just drives through the ball. He can easily, and I know this from tests that he has done in various facilities, he can easily top 30 miles an hour.
And people just don't know how hard it is to throw a 16-pound ball 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, he's a horse.
Yeah, working on his spare in a third, now in the 4th frame. Up 20 pins early in the match. Good-looking stroke there by Andy Dole, and high flush strike, setting the tone.
He squared it up. He knew he had to close the shoulders in a little bit. He didn't want to give it room away, and he just picked the ball speed up so that it would hold line.
Over Steve Hartman's right shoulder, you'll see Spiro Moisidis, the sponsor for this year's tournament. He owns Nirvana Family Restaurant. Here's Steve's shot in the 4th, and he gets a strike.
Nice control of the ball speed.
Looks like he softened it up a little bit.
Yes, he did. He knew he had to get the ball into a roll because he's playing a little further out than Andy is and a little bit closer to that out of bounds, and he had to get that ball to roll off the oil.
Now Hartman working on a strike in the 4th. Needs to double. He's down 20. Strike here will get him within 10 pins.
It's a critical shot here.
Oh, looks good. He liked it as he ran it out.
He knew that when he let go of that. He knew that was going to be a very good shot.
He says, ladies and gentlemen, we have a match. I want to thank Storm Bowling Equipment and also Dexter Shoes for jumping on board to this year's event. Each bowler is wearing a Storm Bowling shirt. and a Dexter patch on their sleeve. I want to thank Dexter Shoes and Storm Bowling Products. Here's Andy Dole with a strike in the fourth, working in the fifth frame. A double here, we'll put him back up 20. Does he like it?
Yes, he does.
Nice shot. When Andy gets comfortable, look out.
Look out, because the swing gets loose and the release is so strong. And instead of all the players that are in the finals right now, Andy's the one who might be able to really open the lanes up.
As you saw, a replay of Andy's strike. Nice high flush pitch. None better than that.
Nope.
Now with the
10 back.
Double here. Another strike, you can go up 30. Working in the sixth frame, lane 9. Does he like it? He pushed it.
Whoa.
Pushed it past the break point, leaving the 1, 2, 4.
He threw that in a hurry. He rushed the feet, and he got himself pumped up after that last strike, and he just threw it way too hard.
One thing that we need to know, revs does not equal hook. From that standpoint, you just saw it right there.
Right. It's the interaction between the amount of revs and your ball speed. And if you've got a lot of speed, then no amount of revs is going to bring it back to the pocket.
Here's a tough spare.
Whoops.
And as you can see, he brings pins everywhere, but Andy chops off the 1-2 from the 4, leaving the door wide open for Steve Hartman here with the strike, with the double working through 4th and 5th frames, now in the 6th frame, and really now the match goes right back into the hands of Steve Hartman.
If he can make this double work and stretch it out to a 3-bagger, this is a whole nother match now.
And here's Steve in the 6th frame.
Push.
Push it through, and now he is going to, terrible break as he left the 3-6-10, and the 6 pin is knocked out, leaving the 3-10 split. Not a good break whatsoever right there.
And that was a very conservative shot on his part. I think he just tried to, guide it to the pocket a little bit, and he got too careful with the ball speed.
And Steve chops off the 3-pin, leaving the 10, so an open frame in the 6th for Steve Hartman, and that will go to a commercial break. But before so, we had a chance to speak with Stephanie Schmidt from the Tippecanoe County Humane Society, our charity of choice, and we'll cut to that interview right now. All right, welcome back to the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. Thought we were going to play our segment with the Tippecanoe County Humane Society before the break, but that was my mistake. Let's go to that interview right now with Stephanie Schmidt earlier on today. Hi, here with Stephanie Schmidt from the Tippecanoe County Humane Society. That's my choice, charity of choice for this year's Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. And Stephanie, I see you brought Chewy with us, an 8-week-old Shepherd mix. And tell us a little bit about Humane Society and what do you do as far as trying to raise money?
What we do as far as try to raise money is we do fundraisers. We take donations, and we also take bequests. Some of the fundraisers we do are like we do Strike Out Suffering here at Star Lanes, and we send out mailers and things like that.
To try to adopt a pet, what do people need to do to go about trying to adopt a pet like Chewy?
They can come into the Humane Society and they can look at the pets, and when they find one, they fill out an application. It is $70 for a puppy or a dog and $45 for a cat or kitten, and they just fill out the application, and then we go through, we kind of help them with a little bit of, like crate training and litter box training, things like that. We give them some information, and then they're set. And they can take the puppy or kitten or cat or dog.
Oh, that sounds excellent. And where can people go to find the Tippecanoe County Humane Society?
We're at 1705 South 2nd Street, and we're open from 12 to 4 every day for viewing the animals, and then Mondays and Fridays we stay open until 6:30.
Well, on behalf of Storm Bowling and the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open, we have checks for $1,018.
Oh my gosh, thank you very much. This will go a long way in helping the animals. We really appreciate you doing this for us.
You're welcome. And if you want to go out and adopt a dog here like Chewy, just check out the Tippecanoe County Humane Society. Thanks again. All right, welcome back to the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. And we're getting ready set for Steve Hartman's 7th frame here. And a crucial frame it is, as Steve is down 19 pins. Steve, age 48, from West Point, Indiana. Tournament average for this weekend was 197. high flush strike. Good result there.
That's a nice comeback to stay that loose after the commercial break and come back with a shot like that. People have to understand, 197 doesn't sound like a big number, but on this tournament shot, anything over 180 was a very good game, and 200 was outstanding.
Here's Andy Dole now. Open in the sixth, but up 19 pins, looking to try to build on that lead. Oh, he thought it was a little bit better than that. Ball just did not react on the back end.
We're probably going to get a little bit of carry down. The players had a chance to warm up for about a half an hour. And one of the things that I noticed when I made it into match play, in the 2 match play rounds that I bowled in, the lanes got long in a hurry. And shots that in one frame were hitting the pocket, suddenly were getting past the head pin, and you had to make a very fast adjustment.
Andy going to try to pick up the 2-4-7. And he chops it off again. And once again, Andy leaves the door wide open with back-to-back opens.
Now, one of the things that Andy has a tendency to do is to get a little frustrated with himself, and this is when you need to take a deep breath, take your time, and throw a good pitch.
Here's Andy in the 8th frame on lane 9. Once again, we want to welcome new sponsors, TikTok Tavern. TikTok Tavern. Visit the new tavern located on Canal Road. Great fruit, great drinks, friendly service. TikTok Tavern. And Andy back in the hole with the strike in the 8th.
That's the shot he needed. That's the shot to let Steve Hartman know that, hey, I may have given you a frame back, but I'm not going to give you the whole game.
Need your computer, TV, VCR, or DVD player fixed? Call the experts at Electrolab for a free estimate today. And we see the replay with Andy. You don't get any better than that.
That's a great. With his power, he'll trip the corners a lot. Almost there.
And Steve Hartman once again cuts up through the nose, leaving the 3-6-10.
He doesn't have that lane figured out yet. That's two times in a row. He's gotten a little soft at the speed. And he's in a situation where he's afraid to overthrow it and miss the head pin, and he's just not quite hitting the break point right.
And now Steve attempting to make the spare, and he does. Tough spare. Good conversion.
Good conversion, yes.
Well, we have pretty much an 8-pin contest here going into the 8th frame. Andy has the slight edge with the strike in the 8th. Now the big foundation frame, the 9th frame. Here's Steve Hartman on lane 9, working on a spare.
He needs this one.
Once again, comes up high, leaving the 2-9, and this is tough.
It, any of the double woods or bucket type conversions, it's tough enough getting to the pocket, but now you have to kind of fit it in there for the spare on the second shot.
Steve going to try to make the 2-9. Pretty much needs this to stay in the match.
Yes.
And it hits the outside and just stays there. And he opens in the 9th.
That's that dangerous out of bounds. It's so easy to throw through it.
Now Andy Dole in the 9th frame with the strike in the 8th, leading now by 10, trying to build that to 20.
He just needs to keep the ball in play. The match is in his hands.
Here's his 9th frame shot. He likes it. Oh, wow, what a shot.
Great shot.
So Andy Dole now with the double can pretty much lock up the match. And let's take a look at the replay.
He really squared up on that and just drove right through the back of the ball. When Andy throws a good shot, there's just no doubt that all 10 pins are going to be obliterated.
Now in the 10th frame, strike here will pretty much lock the door. Matter of fact, 9 pins will pretty much lock the door for match number 1 for Andy Dole. Best Steve Hartman could do is 170. Andy Dole on a 180 pace. He'll try to make the spare here in the 10th frame. Right now, Andy has more than enough. 179 right now without even making the spare. He will anyway.
Yeah. Well, now what I would do if I were Andy, knowing I have the match, I've got a fill ball, might be a chance to experiment on a new line. He didn't bowl a great match, but he didn't throw a terrible score. He may need to find something new to get a better game as he goes into his next match. This is a good time to experiment.
Here's Andy's fill ball. Strike here will be 191. Best Steve Hartman can do is 170. So Andy Dole will move on and advance to play the #1 seed, Dave Hurt. Doug, it's been a fantastic weekend so far. We're going to finish things off with the last 3 matches of the tournament as Steve Hartman fills his frames for match #1. A lot of neat new sponsors on board, tough condition. It just seems like this tournament's getting bigger and better every year.
Well, there's a movement in the game to challenge bowlers again with the various sport lanes and conditions that you get in different leagues. And I think bowlers are beginning to recognize that challenge. And this tournament has gotten a great reputation for putting out a tough shot and rewarding the bowler who is bowling the best that given weekend. And I think good word of mouth, great sponsorship is really helping to build the reputation of this Nirvana.
And Steve will finish the match with a 159. Andy Dole wins it with a 191. We'll be back with more from the 2002 Nirvana Family Restaurant Open, and we'll be back with match #2 between John Hill, the #2 seed, against the #3 seed, Bobby Hager Jr. Back right after this. Welcome back to the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. Scott Gilmore, Doug Weedman. We're getting set for match #2 between the #2 seed, John Hill, and the #3 seed, Bobby Hager. Before we took the air today, we had a chance to speak with Bobby Hager Jr. Welcome back to the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. I'm joined with Bobby Hager Jr., our #3 seed in this year's TV finals. Bobby, 3rd tournament, first time on TV. Any jitters?
Yeah, I've never been on TV before, but I think I'll be relaxed when I get on there.
You had a tough match to get here to the TV show. You defeated defending champion Vinny Atria 3-0. I know Vinny sort of struggled. What was the key for you that you felt that got you through that match?
I think when I first went down there, I got real loose and moved inside the lanes, and they seemed to play good for me. And I was watching Vinny play out, and I felt like he wasn't playing where I was, so I kind of created a ball area for me that was pretty consistent.
What would it be like to win this year's tournament?
It'd be a good thrill. Winning bowling, obviously, on TV, it'd be a great thrill to win like that. Plus, bowling on the sport condition would be even a greater achievement.
Well, Bobby, you have to defeat John Hill to get to this year's TV finals, and we'll just track the TV show to see how Bobby does. All right, welcome back. We're getting ready for match #2 of the day. Bobby Hager Jr., the 3 seed. We just had a chance to speak with Bobby before the tournament started. We just showed you that. And the #2 seed, John Hill, Bobby Hager Jr. From Speedway, Indiana, 48 years old. We call him the quiet assassin because quietly he'll just beat you.
He's got a great arm swing. And I was talking to him last night at the end of bowling. He said his key was to let the swing push the ball down the lane and not grab at it.
And he comes up through the beak, leaving the 4-7.
Just a little off with the ball speed coming out of the break, but very makeable spare.
Bobby will try to make this, get off to a clean start. That's always important in any match. The frames go by so fast, you just can't afford to give too many pins away.
Yeah, in a one-game match, you've got to get lined up quickly and make sure you're filling the frames.
And Bobby will attempt the 4-7 spare. He's going to hook at it. And he makes it. Starts out with an 8 spare for today's match. Your hometown frozen custard, the Igloo Frozen Custard, with 2 convenient locations, 350 South and 18th Streets, and Igloo East behind Myers, serving fun, food, and frozen custard, the Igloo Frozen Custard. Now John Hill, the #2 seed, looking to get things under. Started off to a big start. That's what he wants. He wants to make sure that he gets off to the big start, puts the heat on his opponent.
This is another guy. Great swing, nice solid at the line. Good ball.
Looks like Bobby Hager is going to try to make some adjustments to his equipment as John Hill starts off with a strike. John Hill is a PBA member. And here's the replay of John Hill's shot.
Nice roll on the ball. That ball looks like it's got a little bit of duller color. a little bit of a duller surface. So I'm thinking that he put some texture on the ball so he could get it to roll up off that little out-of-bounds oil.
John recently bowled in the PBA Greater Detroit Open that qualifying took place earlier this week. Didn't make the cut to the top 64, and he said, why not? Let's check out the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open and give it a run. And here's some good TV exposure as John starts off with a double.
Yeah, good exposure, and it's a lane condition that suits his game. He's very solid.
Here's Bobby Hager Jr. in the second with the spare working in the first. And he's got to be thinking, John Hill's lined up. I got to get going.
Nice soft release. A little too soft.
And he comes up through the B, almost Brooklyn, leaving the 10-pin. Let mailboxes, etc. ship your packages. FedEx, UPS, or Priority Mail. Come in and rent a mailbox today. Located next to Super Walmart off State Road 26. Mailboxes, etc. Here's Bobby Hager trying to pick up the 10-pin.
In all the years that I've bowled at the Nirvana, this is one guy that I was surprised had never made the TV finals earlier.
And he makes a 10-pin. You know, as I mentioned, his nickname on the bowling circuit, the Quiet Assassin, because he just goes along methodically and very quietly. And that's why when I saw the matchup, him against Vinny Atria, I said, if anybody can beat Vinny Atria, it's Bobby Hager Jr., because he bowls just like Vinny, methodically at his own pace.
Yeah. He can really set the tempo of the match, and he doesn't get shook up. He's got experience of bowling against a lot of very good bowlers, and he just plays his game.
Here's Bobby Hager Jr. in the third, working on a spare. Good shot. Trips out the 10-pin, and he has a strike.
Looks to me like he made an adjustment on the lane. He got his feet a little bit deeper. He wanted to catch a little bit more head oil to get that ball because it was breaking a little earlier than he had wanted in the first couple of frames.
Strike here. John Hill could go up 21 after 2 frames. Perfect through 2. Now in the third, in the right-hand lane. Boy, he has it all working right now. What a great-looking shot.
What you want to notice is just how clean the swing is. Nice swing line, and he doesn't do a lot with the ball. It's all leverage.
And here's a replay of this shot. Look at it. Late entry angle, and still enough to slap out the 10-pin.
And very late fall, but he got the
Something
break.
Came from behind to get it. Here's John Hill in the fourth. Can go up 31 pins with a strike. Oh, and that is dead flush. This guy's on.
Now he is locked. It's like his upper body is completely independent of his lower body. He's got that nice clean swing, but he's so solid at the line. And that allows the swing to hold line, and it allows the release to work well.
Here's Bobby Hager Jr. in the fourth. He needs to strike right here.
If he strikes here, he's going to give Mr. Hill a little message that he's not going to go quietly.
Oh, and if he does, he gets lucky with a light Brooklyn, we call that Brooklyn strike when you cross the head pin. Has been nicknamed many, many years ago.
Many years ago.
Let's look at what happened here.
Yeah, he just got inside of his line. And that's as good a break as you're going to get on these lanes.
Strike here will cut the deficit down to 11. Trailing by 21. Here he is on lane 9. Comes in light, leaves the 2-8. I'm sure he wasn't happy with that play.
No, he didn't. When he set it down on the lane, it didn't look like it came off the hand quite as cleanly as he wanted, and he lost the roll, so he missed the break point.
He'll try to pick up the 2-8 here. Needs to keep things clean to have any chance to stay in this match. Oh, and he comes in light and takes the 2 off the 8 as the ball deflects around the 8-pin. So an open frame for Bobby Hager Jr. and not what he needed when John Hill has got the front 4.
No, and John's looking very relaxed and very smooth. And it's tough to do that when you only bowl one match and you've been sitting for a little while.
35 pin lead as we speak. Strike here will increase it to 45. Comes up the nose, and he gets a lucky break with the Brooklyn strike.
Well, they're trading breaks right now, and that's not something that Bob Hager can afford.
Let's take a look what happened here.
His shoulder dropped. He dropped his shoulder, and his swing came inside, and so the ball never got a chance to get down the lane.
Well, the front five working now for John, trying to stay perfect through 6 frames. Strike here and increase the lead to 100, or excuse me, to 55 pins.
Got to trust his swing.
And he does. Messenger comes over and takes out the 10 pin, and John Hill is lined up.
Yes. One of the things that happens with a clean release is the ball's rolling so well, and watch the turn. When that ball turns over, it's going to kick the pins around. And there's an old expression, the pins can tell when the swing is tight, and that was a nice loose swing.
Here's Bobby Hager, a must-strike situation in the 6th.
Looped it.
And he squashes the rack there for a strike. And through 6 frames, Bobby Hager Jr. behind John Hill, who has the front 6. We'll be back with more of match number 2 right after this. Welcome back, and Storm Bowling Products and the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open is proud to support Indiana high school bowling. And earlier today, we had a chance to donate some bowling equipment to some local high school bowling teams. And on behalf of Storm and Bowling Products, on your left is Doug Weedman, representative for Star Lane's high school bowling programs. And to his left is Gary Ness, who represents Mike Albie's Arrowhead Bowl high school programs. And Alicia Parker from Central Catholic High School is holding a Storm Bowling ball, and her coach to her left is Al Schaefer, Market Square Lane's high school program. We're proud to donate equipment this year to them for their worthy cause to help raise money as they travel throughout this area bowling and high school functions. So we're very proud to do that, and let's continue on with match number 2 with Bobby Hager Jr. working with the strike in the 6th, and now in the 7th frame, needing a double.
Yes, it's going to be very important that Hager get lined up right now, because he cannot afford to give away any more pins.
Scott Gilmore and Doug Weedman here to bring you this 2002 edition. Proud to be here, very excited. This has been a great tournament so far this year, and here is a big shot for Mr. Hager. Comes in Brookie. Oh, and he trips out the 6-pin late. Big break there.
We've seen a lot of that this weekend where if you missed just right, you could actually string some along on the Brooklyn side.
Davies Auctions. Visit us on the web at daviesauctions.com. Selling antique furniture, collectibles, primitives, and toys. Call us to consign your antiques today. Davies Auctions. And here's John Hill with the front 6 working in the 7th.
Looking with a couple more good shots to just simply put this match out of reach.
Strike here, and he's in trouble. Oh, and he hits light, and that ball is really working.
He's hitting the release just real sweet.
Front 7, ladies and gentlemen. We have what could be history for the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open.
Yeah, in any round at any time in this particular tournament, we've never had a 300 game.
289 is the highest. Vinny Atria, the front 10 in qualifying, is the highest score we've ever had. It is a sanctioned event, ladies and gentlemen. John Hill could get a ring with the 300. Here's frame 8. Oh, we got soft. He got a break there. Brooklyn strike. Front 8, ladies and gentlemen, and he knows it.
That's one of those, you smile, you kind of walk away and say thank you. Yeah, that's another one. He didn't quite give it enough room, but he got a break.
And now Bobby Hager Jr. in the 8th. Needing a strike to have any chance. Pretty much this match is academic.
Yeah, I think Bob's realizing that he's not going to quite go all the way this year. That was a nice shot. That was an interesting roll on the ball. It's set up at the pocket and pushed. right there. Right there, it sits and pushes right through the pins.
Bobby Hager, maximum score is 245. Of course, John Hill can still shoot 300. This game really is not over yet.
No, if John makes mistakes, there's a chance for Bob Hager to get back in it.
This to get cut within 55, and he misses it. And that will pretty much seal the fate for Bobby Hager Jr. this year. He'll finish a decent tournament for him.
Oh, really a very good finish. I said he had some trouble in previous years in the match play rounds where he couldn't make it to the television finals, and it's nice to see him break through and make the TV finals this year.
Steve Hartman finished 5th, collecting $300 this year. And Bobby Hager Jr. will finish 4th and collect $400. Good payday. Third place pays $500. Second pays $600. First pays a whopping $1,200. And inside that trophy, sitting out there behind the Storm bowling balls, as you can see right there behind John Hill, is full of $1 gold coins with $600 sitting inside of it.
As the success of this tournament grows, we give back more to the bowlers and we give back more to the community, which is an outstanding opportunity.
Here's the big shot, 9th frame, front 8. Will he get it?
Got it.
Comes in light. He has it. Front 9, ladies and gentlemen.
Now it gets interesting.
I tell you what, I'm getting excited. Let's take a look at the replay.
Great roll, nice back end reaction. And said he's just so clean at the release point right now.
This for the front 10.
Now this is the lane he crossed over on, so he's got to stay loose.
Does he like it? Oh, it's going to come in high.
Not that time.
Runs it through the nose. Great run for John Hill. Front 9 comes up high and leaves the 4-9-10, or excuse me, 6-9-10. But what a run right there.
9 in a row. It was just that left lane that he couldn't quite, and he went to the well once too often. It wasn't there for him. He needs to make this spare and then make some kind of an adjustment on lane 9.
Well, what kind of statement does this make to the rest of the competition?
It makes the statement that this is the man to beat right now.
For all of your fencing needs, from wooden, vinyl, or chain link fence, we also sell dog fence. Mr. Fence-It. Give Mr. Fence-It a call today.
Let's see what kind of adjustment he makes. He may try to get a little more inside out with this shot. Try to get the ball a little further down the lane. Yep.
And he's just setting the ball a little short. That's what he's got to watch. But he'll come up high. It's all academic. He'll leave the 1-3-5. Finish with a good, solid 274 score. Bobby Hager with the strikes in the 10th frame will shoot 222, which still is a very respectable score on this.
220 is an outstanding game, and that's really a tough one to lose on if you're to shoot it.
Well, I tell you what, Doug, if somebody would walk up to me before this TV show starts and says, Scott, I'll give you 220 in every game. Take it or leave it. I'll take it.
I would take
my chances.
Because I know in my own match, you know, I came through and I was bowling Vinny Atria when I got kicked out, and you know, I shot over, you know, pretty solid game, two teams close to it, and he shoots 250 at me. And I'm like, not a whole lot you can do.
And Bobby comes up light there, but match is all academic, but he's still going to shoot a decent 200 game. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, when the field average is 160, how good is 200? And how good is Vinny Atria? Yesterday, the high score going into after the qualifying rounds was 629 by Gary Ness. Vinny Atria comes in round number 2, goes from 12th to 13th place, shoots a 741, and moves into the top seed. That is scoring. Oh,
I was on the pair right next to Vinny, and it was just amazing when he got lined up and he can get that ball just to tilt over and carry those light hits. An outstanding performance there in the qualifying rounds.
Well, that'll end match number 2, the final score. John Hill, 274. Bobby Hager Jr., 212. Bobby will finish 4th. We'll get on with match number 3 right after this with the number 1 seed, Dave Hurt, and the number 4 seed, Andy Dole.
I'm on the lanes right now with John Hill, who just got done throwing the highest game in the televised history of the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. You had the front 9. What was going through your mind at that point?
Make a clean shot. It had some breaks. I felt that if I could get some breaks and make a really clean shot, that I could strike out. And didn't make a clean shot, didn't get a good break, didn't strike out.
He made an outstanding run. He had an outstanding game. He is sending a message to the rest of the players who are in this finals that he is the man to beat at this point. Scott, back to you.
All right, John Hill, 274 game, had the front nine. Dave Hurt and Andy Dole in our next match. Before we took the air today, we had a chance to speak with the number 1 seed, Dave Hurt, along with the wild card, Steve Hartman. Let's take a look. Welcome back to the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. I'm Scott Gilmore, and joined me on my left is Dave Hurt, and on my right, Steve Hartman, 2 competitors in this year's TV finals. First of all, Dave, I see you have an ABC Eagle for Bruno's Pizza number 1, last year's 2002 champion. Tell us a little bit about the event and what it was like to win it.
Just a special event, great team effort. I don't think we have realized our true value of what we accomplished last year. It's just been a dream come true.
And Steve, you bowled on that winning team and had to bowl against Dave to try to make it into this year's TV final. You made the wild card spot. What is it like bowling with and then now against Dave?
Bowling with Dave is tremendous. He's got a lot of knowledge. One thing that helps a lot is we know each other's game, and if somebody starts to struggle a little bit, somebody can look at something and say, I think you're doing this or you're doing that. I like bowling against Dave because he's such a competitor. You know, when you come out, you're going to have to bowl well to beat him, and I like those kind of challenges.
Dave, you knocked off Steve to make it to the number 1 seed. You have to bowl 1 match to make it to this year's final. You have yet to win a tournament in the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. What would it be like to win this year's event?
Oh, it's anytime I could win this tournament would be special. I've had my shots. You know, I'm beginning to think that maybe this is my turn this year.
Steve, you've won it before. Would you like to win it again?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a tough road to get there, and everything's got to fall your way, but absolutely, this one you want to have.
All right, I got the number 1 seed and the wild card. Let's see if they can make it to this year's final and go from there. All right, welcome back to competition. Little tape segment there with Dave Hurt and Steve Hartman. Of course, Steve Hartman losing against Andy Dole, and now Andy Dole will face Dave Hurt, the number 1 seed.
Dave has thrown the ball tremendous during match play. Had a 227 average during match play, which is just phenomenal on this lane condition.
And here's Dave's first shot on lane number 9. Oh, and he likes it. Playing a different line than what we've seen from other players.
Yeah, some of the players don't quite trust themselves to play that far out on the lane. But there's a great ball reaction if you're dead accurate. And Dave's in a great stroke right now. All throwing match play, he just was throwing the ball great.
Andy Dole defeated Steve Hartman 191 to 159. Andy's bowled solid, just had a couple open frames there in the 6th and 7th. Here's his first shot.
A little fast.
And I tell you, you do not want to leave double wood on this kind of condition.
No, any of your multi-pin spares presented their challenges.
With Old Man Winter here, have your furnace checked out before you're left in the cold. Call Seasma Heating and Cooling today. Here's Andy Dole with the 2-8, trying to convert it with a clean start.
It's going to go straight down the lane at it. Oh, turned it in. A little different from where he was setting up. I thought he was going to go straight at it, but he ended up giving it some room.
He wasn't sure what he was going to do on that either, and I think there was a kind of little humor there. I was just wondering what the heck that ball was going to do once it got down the lane. Now Andy with the spare in the 8, or the first 8 spare. Now in the 2nd on the left lane.
Andy and I were talking some time ago. We were working on his game, and one of the things that he needs to do is to keep the first couple steps slow.
And he's going to go Brooklyn strike for a break there in the 2nd frame.
That's an important break. Give him something to work with, and now he's got to be able to take advantage of it because Dave doesn't look like he's going to hand anything to him.
And there's a replay of Andy's Brooklyn strike, high flush Brooklyn, if we may say, if you want to say anything nice about it. But
yeah, high flush.
Speaking about Dave Hurt, you don't get about as good as you can with Dave here. But Dave, little injury, wrist injury earlier on, and as you can see, he's wearing the Robbies. Said he kind of tweaked it one day and felt the twinge, and he thought, well, I better start wearing a brace, and that's why he's still wearing the Robbies. Really hit up on it. Ball squeaks down the lane, and he leaves a 2-8.
I said he hit up and he pulled up on it a little bit. didn't quite stay down long enough to finish the release.
Dave's got to be thinking, you know what? I've made three TV shows. Missed the 98 the very first year, but he's made 99, 2000, 2001. Now 2002, his fourth show. He's got to be thinking, you know, I've got the experience. I know what it's like going on TV in this event. It should be my turn.
It should be his turn. And as well as he's throwing the ball, all throughout match play and qualifying, it's a reasonable expectation.
Going for the 2-8. Ball needs to hook, and he slides past the 2 and picks off the 8. So an open frame for Dave Hurt in the second. He needs to regroup and making a quality shot like he did in the first frame and now in the third.
He's going to take his time. He's going to regroup a little bit.
Dave's not going to force the issue at all. He's going to continue to play his style of game and play at the pace he wants to perform at. Big shot here after an open frame in the second. Left lane. Double bouncer. He's not getting out of the ball clean. Now he leaves the 2, 4, 8, 10. And his last two shots didn't look like he got out of the ball very good.
No, he's grabbing at it. That's a term that I picked up from Dave Hurt. It's right at the bottom of the swing. Instead of letting it come off the hand clean, he wants to grab at it, and that's where that double bounce comes from.
Get all the latest equipment from Storm, Ebonite, and Columbia 300 and have it customized to your hand or game. Visit Bowler's Edge Pro Shop, owned by PBA member Jeff Welliver, inside Classic Lanes in Frankfurt.
Nice
and what
shot.
a spare pickup there. We have to see it. Got to see a replay of that. You just don't see the 2, 4, 8, 10 picked up very often.
I mean, there are very few ways to make that, and that was just a phenomenal spare shot. Hits it light and sends the 2 pins over into the 10. The 2 and the 8 do their work. That's an outstanding spare conversion.
Now Andy has to regroup because he's probably thinking, okay, I got another open frame. Dave makes the split. Now Andy's got to think, okay, no break for me.
Nope, he's got to make something happen.
And he comes through and leaves an ugly combination there of the 3, 9, 10.
That one he forced. He thought there was a crack, and then Dave just slammed the door on his foot again, and now Andy tried to force the issue a little bit.
Bunch of nice sponsors this year bringing on. Cellular Consultants, as we mentioned earlier. Also want to thank Awards Unlimited for donating the winner's trophy this year. And Andy's really going to loft it. He's trying to get it. As I interrupt myself here, tell the viewers why Andy lofted it so much there on that particular point.
Well, he's trying to take the shot out of the play. He's going for a lot of speed, and he doesn't want the ball to any kind of reaction. And he's going to get it down the lane and catch a quick little snap at the back end. And unfortunately, he overthrew it a little bit. Andy has a tendency to, when he wants to throw it really hard, he squeezes. And sometimes that loft is a little bit more than he wants.
Strike here. This match is all square. He goes for the nose and leaves the 3, 6, 10.
Looks to me like Andy's leaning into the shot. He's not keeping his shoulders on line. When that right shoulder leans forward a little bit, it forces you inside of the line that you want. Andy's got to relax. He's not relaxing right now.
He's a little uptight. And I tell you, when you see somebody leave a split like that and you think, okay, I got a break, and he makes it. And he comes by and takes off the 6-10, leaves the 3 pin. So back-to-back open frames. And now the match goes right back into Dave's hands, leading by 21.
Now this is where some of Dave's Team USA experience, he's going to take his time, and if he throws a crisp shot here, mentally he knows he's got an advantage on his opponent. And Team USA players are taught and to work on their mental game.
And it comes in light, once again leaving the 2-8, and I don't see a good reaction on the lanes right there.
No, he may have the wrong ball in his hand, or he needs to bump out a little bit more, make a parallel move with his feet and his line, and try to catch a little more ball reaction towards the outside.
Dave Hurt from Lafayette, Indiana, age 52, led the tournament in average 227, ladies and gentlemen. And he makes a 2-8 there.
Good spare conversion there.
I mean, 227 is huge on this condition.
That's a phenomenal effort. I just couldn't imagine having to split the boards like that, as tough as these lane conditions were. getting everything right so often that you could average 227.
Dave Hurt now in the fifth, working on the spare, up by 9, can increase that lead to 19 with a strike.
Dave's the only one playing on the outside line, and I think he's throwing into other people's carry down because they're crossing boards, and that's where he's losing his ball reaction.
And he pulls in a little tighter, and the ball sets up high flush. 10 in the pit there for Dave, and he goes up 19, and now Andy Dole with an open in the fourth needs to come back and make a quality pitch here in the fifth.
That's going to be a little bit, he tightened his lineup. He wasn't getting the ball reaction, so he just simply squared up more at the line and forced it into the hole.
Now Andy Dole here in the fifth frame. Oh, he loves it. Blowout 9. What a terrible break.
Wow, that came off his hand real clean, real fast, and it said it hit too hard. One of the penalties of having hit that much power is sometimes the pins don't do their job. They don't get a chance to kick around. They're just there in the pit.
One thing that you have to think, though, Doug, is that if I'm Andy, okay, let's make my spare. Let's try to hit the head pin again. Next frame. Dave is not lined up comfortably yet.
No. Andy's in a position where if he can just keep the ball in play, maybe get a break or two, he can really, put a little bit of a squeeze on Dave Hurt, because Dave is still fishing around a little bit.
Winner of this match moves on to face John Hill for the tournament title. A lot at stake, $1,200 to be exact on stake here.
Yeah.
First place paying this year $1,200.
It's a very nice prize fund, and it's one that I know that all the bowlers out there are chasing after. Really would like to have that feather in their cap.
And he's left it short, goes right through the face and leaves the 3-6.
As soon as it left his hand, he knew that was bad.
This, once again, this spare right here is my nemesis. Of course, for me, it's the 2-4, but I chop it anyway.
Yeah, you try to go straight at it, and you chop it. If you hook it a little bit, it comes in front of it. There are a lot of ways to slice and dice it.
He needs this spare badly in the 6th.
And Andy's spare shooting has been very crisp. There
But he
you
makes
go.
that. Good spare there for Andy. After back-to-back opens, back-to-back spares, now Dave Hurt with a strike can take a commanding 21-pin lead, up 11.
This will be a critical shot. If Dave can strike here, he's really in the driver's seat. If not, Andy's got a chance to put a few together and take control of the match. A little further out.
It's not making a turn, and once again, leaves a 2-8, and he's a little perplexed. He's just expecting that ball to turn a little bit more, and it's just not making the break.
No, he thinks that by making that, and he started the ball a little wider, he thought there should have been a ball reaction out there, and it's just not there on the championship pair today.
Dave going to try to make the spare. He missed this in frame number 2, taking off the 8-pin, leaving the 2. So that's another little mind game he's going through his mind right now.
Yeah, but he made it the second time he shot at it, so there you go.
Makes the spare and stays clean through 6. And we have a dandy match with Dave Hurt up 9 pins through 6 frames. We'll be back for the conclusion of match number 2, or excuse me, match number 3, right after this. Welcome back to the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. Scott Gilmore, Doug Weedman here, bringing you all the action from Star Lanes in Lafayette, Indiana. Dave Hurt with a slight 11-pin lead, or I should say slim 11-pin lead in the 5th. Now with the spare in the 6th, working in the 7th frame, this is a tight match.
And neither bowler seems to be in control of the lane conditions right now. They haven't found the right set of options that are going to let them score.
And here's a shot from Dave coming up high through the nose.
He circled that release a little bit.
This match brought to you by also Finish Line Entertainment with real live NASCAR remote control racing on a high banked action track. Also now with a wall, they have a rock climbing wall. So visit them on the web at finishlineentertainment.com. Dave trying to make the 6-10, and he chops the 6-pin off. Boy, tough break now this match.
That was a bad break.
The 10-pin wiggles.
Yeah, because with that kind of ball, with that kind of hard surface ball, with that kind of angle, you wouldn't expect to chop it.
What's amazing, though, Doug, you're sitting on the bench, down 11, and now you come back up to bowl and you're up 12.
Yep. So this is a chance for Andy to take control of the match again. He's just got to keep the ball in play.
And once again, he leaves the 3-6 again. And I tell you right now, these guys better, whoever wins this match, better get lined up because John Hill is.
Right. They need to find different options. Andy thought he threw that ball well, and you could hear the sound of it coming out of his hand. He caught every bit of that ball. He's just playing the wrong part of the lane.
A spare here, and we have a tie ball game. And he makes a tough spare there, but he converts the 3-6. This match brought to you also in part by Schrader's Jewelry. If you need your watch fixed or maybe just your battery replaced, visit Schrader's Jewelry off South 18th Street.
Once again, we have an outstanding set of sponsors this year.
Great list of sponsors. Here's Andy Dole. Spare working in the 7th.
Somebody needs to take control of this match right now.
And he's going to... Oh, and he crosses over for a Brooklyn strike. And Andy gets a big break there in the 8th frame.
Yep. That was another one. As soon as it came off his hand, he knew that he'd made a mistake. And right there, you can see him pull up at the line a little bit. He knows that's going left. And that's a light Brooklyn hit, and he got the love tap.
The ball deflected and took out the 7th pin. We're going to have to razz him when this competition's over. Well, back to a serious note. Dave Hurt needing to strike here in the 8th frame.
Pointed it a little bit.
Oh, good pitch and a solid 10 pin.
Dave he was happy with that shot. He made played the lanes right, got a good ball reaction, just got the bad break.
You made a comment earlier today, and it wasn't in this match, but you just said the pins know when you're tight.
Yep.
And Dave has a ton of experience, but every now and then you're going to throw a tight shot every now and then. And he converts the 10-pin spare.
Wow, we have essentially have a 2-frame match. Andy's got a little bit of an advantage with the strike up, but unless he makes that strike work for him with a double, that advantage will evaporate.
Here's Dave Hurt in the 9th.
Dave's very meticulous in his setup.
Here's Dave in the 9th frame. Needs a strike here. Oh, solid shot there.
He waited for the swing very nicely. He didn't grab at it.
Dave with 133 in the 8th. Maximum score 193.
There's the ball coming in. Nice roll. That ball got turned over and rolled and drove through the pins.
Andy Dole can strike out for a 203. A strike here would give him a 10-pin lead. Does he like it? He likes
that one.
Well, I tell you what, there's nothing better than knowing you get a break in the 8th frame when a Brooklyn strike, come right back and throw a high flush shot. Here's a replay.
Take advantage of your good breaks because they don't come that often.
Andy needs to just... A strike here really will force Dave to double in the 10th. Andy can lock the door out with a double here.
He's got to be patient, though. He can't make the ball. He can't try to fit it there. He's got to wait for the swing.
Does he like it? Oh,
he liked it.
Shot. Solid 10-pin.
Doesn't have to be ashamed of that shot. He threw a great shot in the 10th frame.
Well, let's take a look at it. Right around the 10-pin.
That's
6-pin.
A ripping 10-pin.
Andy can strike out, or can spare strike, finish with a 182. Dave is on a 173 pace.
73.
Needing to strike first ball in the 10th. So this is a critical spare for Andy. Oh, and he misses the 10-pin. Open door for Andy.
Bad footing at the line. He planted a little hard and he stuck. And 99% of the time, if you stick to the line, you're going to miss inside.
Well, here's the setup. Dave needs to mark. And let's take a look at what happened. Yep, slipped on the feet, pulled the shot through. Just misses by an eyelash. Here it is. A 9 spare, 8 count wins. 18 in the frame will lock out the match.
Watch it roll. Wow.
Oh, and he leaves the 2-5-8.
That was another one that did not come off his hand very clean.
Here's the break. We'll give you a little bit of break, but let's take a look at the replay first.
See the roll? See how it won't turn over? It didn't come off his hand very well. Came off his hand a little flat.
This is, if there is a break by this, he's on a strike, so he doesn't lose pin count on the first ball.
But this is a nasty spear to shoot at, Scott.
And he misses it, and Dave Hurt opens in the 10th frame, gives the right match right back, and Andy Dole will advance to the tournament for the tournament championship. Defeats Dave Hurt 170 to 161. We had a chance before we took the TV show to talk with or to present a check to Starlane's Youth Bowling, and we'll get to that here in just a few minutes. As both bowlers opening in the 10th frame, did nerves really take a part of that?
I think it was a little bit of nerves. I think it was a little bit of where they got a little bit disappointed, where they thought they made good shots and they didn't get the good results. And when that happens, then you try to start fitting the ball into the pocket and you get out of your natural swing rhythm, and suddenly everything breaks down a little bit. And on this shot, you can't afford that to happen.
All right, let's see if we can't play the segment here with the check presentation to Starlane's Youth. And there is Mike Habiga and Joe Schrader, directors of Starlane's Youth Bowling, and we presented them a check today for $670, and that'll go towards city and state tournament entries and also uniforms. So congratulations to Starlane's Youth, and we want to thank Storm Bowling and also Nirvana Family Restaurant for that donation. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with the tournament championship with John Hill against Andy Dole right after this. Welcome back to the 2002 Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. Scott Gilmore, Doug Weedman here, bringing you all the action. Let's recap what's happened so far today, Doug. In our first match, Andy Dole defeated Steve Hartman, 191 to 159. Steve never really been able to get on a roll. Andy threw some big shots there late in the game.
Yeah, Andy was keeping the ball in play and basically went a little bit more conservative line and snuck by with a victory.
In match number 2, John Hill defeated Bobby Hager Jr. 274 to 212. The big story in that match was John starting off with the front 9, missing in the first ball in the 10th frame. But anytime 274 is shot on a sport condition, that's going to be tough to beat.
The front 9 on this shot is nothing short of a miracle, especially on the television final.
And now, just taking place, Andy Dole defeated Dave Hurt 170 to 161. Unfortunately, the match ended with 2 open frames in the 10th frame. But Andy Dole snuck by in qualifying, snuck by in match play, and now is sneaking by in the TV show.
Yeah, he's got a luck going for him right now, where some players are making unfortunate shots and kind of handing the match to him. But simple fact of the matter is Andy's bowling just good enough to get by, and that's what it takes on this kind of a shot.
Well, I'm no Swami, but I tell you what, Andy's not going to be able to sneak by in this title match against John Hill. He's lined up right now on paper, or even, looking back at what's happened so far, he's got to be the favorite.
Oh, yeah, unless there's a radical change in the lane conditions, John's going to be a tough customer to beat.
All right, let's get the tournament final match underway between John Hill, the number 2 seed, against Andy Dole, the number 4 seed. And Mr. Hill is going to lead off this match. $1,800 on the line, $1,200 for first.
We'll see if he makes a statement from the very first ball.
Hits it thin, and the 4-pin wobbles.
It was a good shot, though. After a long break between matches, between his previous match, players don't have a lot of warm-up time on the championship pair before they start a new match. That was still a pretty good shot.
What's your opinion, though, on the fact that if Andy, though, not really lined up as John attempts to make the 4-pin, and he does. Andy just got done bowling a match. Is there any advantage, even though he's not particularly lined up maybe as much as what John was early, that Andy, being a little more warmer might be, in better shape?
He may be more in tune with the changes in the lane condition. That is, if they are making changes, Andy may be able to adjust from an immediately previous game, whereas there's been a bit of a space in between for John, and he's going to have to guess for a couple of frames.
Here's Andy's first shot. Oh,
and he's loose.
What a shot that was. High flush, 10 in the pit. And ladies and gentlemen, for those that don't get around the sport of bowling a lot in the area, John Hill is a solid bowler. And as we look at Andy's replay.
He opens the shoulders up. Now right, he's going to accelerate, snap. See how he stayed down? He didn't straighten the leg up until after the release point, and that's why the ball held line.
And now Andy with the strike in the first, in the second frame, looking to double, start the game.
Big ball.
Oh, God.
Stone 8.
Stone 8. That's about as bad a break as you can get.
That was a great shot. Andy's really getting aggressive now. He knows that he's got a tough opponent, and you can't ask for a bowler to throw a better shot than that. That is the true tap of the game.
Andy Dole has a lot of credentials to his name, leading Purdue to a second-place finish in the IBC championships this past season, and they had a solid ball club up top and bottom, but Andy's no slouch.
Even as a junior bowler, he was Illinois State High School champion.
So he's got the credentials to back it up, but ladies and gentlemen, so does John Hill. John Hill is a PBA Touring 1 player, just got back from the Greater Detroit Open, missed the cut to the top 64, thought, I'm going to bowl here. And this guy is about as good as they get in the Muncie area.
Yes, on his profile sheet, he said that he's had 5 consecutive regionals where he's been in the top 5 or something of that nature. So he is no slouch.
And here's his second shot, working on a spare.
Trouble. That was bad off the hand.
And he leaves an ugly combination of the 2, 4, 8.
He holds the ball in the low position. Nice free swing, but right here, I don't think he got the hand quite through it like he wants. Solid position at the line.
Really poses a shot.
Yep. Posts up, holds line. A lot of double wood combination spares. Trouble.
Trouble. Takes the 2-4 off, leaves the 8-pin, so an open frame in the second. This final match is also brought to you by Richard Conrad and Associates. Richard Conrad Associates, talented architect here in Lafayette. We also want to wish Richard the best as he just had surgery, quadruple bypass, cleaning out some arteries. He's here on hand today. Looks in great shape, and we're glad to have him back, and welcome back, Richard.
Yeah, it's good to see him out and about. I hope to see him on Monday nights bowling in our league very soon.
He'll probably be shocked that I called him Richard. I always call him Rich. I call him other things, but I won't say that on TV.
There's the shot.
Good-looking shot there.
Yeah, he let one get away from him, but he made sure that he stayed firm with that one.
This match also brought to you by North End Mini Storage. There's nothing mini about it. North End Mini Storage, 742-1182.
There's the roll. Yeah, his hand, he got more of the release through the ball, so he got a much better back-end reaction.
Here's Andy, who's throwing 2 great shots, and there is another. He's got to be thinking, I could easily have the front 3.
Yep. That Stone 8's got to be really disappointing, but he came back with Andy's the consummate power player. Locks out, loads up, and then unloads here. Bends the arm, gets the hand under the ball, and snap and drive.
The key to power, Doug, and you know as well as anybody, being what I consider a professor of bowling who teaches at a Purdue University, that ball is behind his leg when he plants, and then he gets all the power from his legs.
Yep. Power players are tendons. That's a break.
But you know what? He's probably thinking, I left a Stone 8-pin in the second frame. I need one.
I was about to say, power players have a tendency to be a little late in their timing. They have a tendency to plan. This is going away break that makes up for the 8-pin.
We've seen a ton of Brooklyn strikes, not only today, but this whole weekend.
It was so easy just to get a little slow, and then it catches a dry area in the middle of the lane, and it's out of bounds.
Here's John Hill, and he comes back with a dandy shot to double himself, try to come back, trailing by 14 in the match.
We've got to. Here's a nice shot. Nice extension up through the back of the ball. Look at the roll.
Good
Great
roll.
drive.
And that is about as solid as you can get.
That's textbook right there.
Strike here for John would cut the match down to 4 pins.
We've got a good match going. Both players are very aggressive, and they are lined up. Big ball. Too big.
Cuts through the nose and leaves the often cited 3-6-10. We've seen that spare a bunch today.
Yeah, it's either you go through the nose and leave the 3-6-10, or you push it wide and you got something with the 2-8. Nice past the leg, good swing. Pulled back a little bit, fell off the shot a little bit and set it short. Doesn't want to give up the spare.
Oh, and he does.
Ouch.
Sandwiches a double between two open, or a double with 2 opens on the outside, and that's not what you want to do, as Andy Dole has yet to really look weak in this match.
No, Andy's very aggressive and he's very loose, and he knows what John had put up in the previous match, so Andy's going to go for broke. And Andy does not get intimidated.
In the 5th frame, working on a double. He likes it, sends pins everywhere, but leaves the 4-pin.
Hit that one a little bit hard.
He liked it off his hand. Ball just hooked up a little early.
The lanes are very, very, very touchy. And right there, pulled up a little off balance. That's probably the only thing that sacrificed his line.
Look at the pins dance. Who says hit him thin and watch him spin? Hit him 100 mile an hour like he does, and they spin anyway.
Oh, they just fly. Trouble.
Oh.
Andy can't do that.
Boy, you can't miss a single pin spare when your opponent's giving you pretty much all the openings you need in a game.
Yep. Andy got impatient.
Instead of being up probably 20 pins, he's only up 16.
With Andy's spare shooting style, his tendency is to plant real hard, and if he plants a little soon, if the heel hits hard, then he bounces and pulls away from the shot.
Let's just hope that didn't affect him much, as he comes back with a solid shot in the 6th frame. But the key there, Doug, is that missing that 4-pin is the difference from being up 38 pins to only 16.
Right.
And that's, you just can't give a guy like John Hill that kind of luxury. As we look at Andy's replay.
Nice steady head. All movement is just in the shoulder. Head steady. Little over-rotated. Be nice if he kept his shoulders on line a little steadier.
John Hill needs a break. Didn't get it. Crosses over and leaves the 10-pin. And right now, I think he is, there's been some change to the condition from when he came out here last.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I think he's got to be thinking, I should be the one being the intimidator. I shot 274 early in this match, and right now Andy's taking it to him.
Yeah, he's looking a little tight with his swing. He's not going through the back of the ball like he was in the previous match.
Makes the 10-pin.
Easy enough spare conversion right there. Takes the hand out of the ball.
And that's through 6 frames on our match right now. Very close. Andy Dole with a 17-pin lead over our #1 seed, John Hill. We'll be back for the conclusion of this match right after this. All right, welcome back to the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open here in the 7th frame of the tournament final match between John Hill and Andy Dole. John with a spare in the 6th, down 17, needing to strike here to get back in this match. Not a lot of frames left either.
No, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, that's for sure. He needs to make a quality shot here.
Comes in Brooklyn, and he's lost on the left lane.
That's a completely different line. Apparently he thought he could move right and throw it down the carry down and have the ball hold line and just let speed get it to the pocket, and that's still tailed left.
Well, he needs to make this to keep in this ball game, because Andy with a strike in the 6th could really put the hurtings on John. 5-pin spare. Uh-oh.
Nope.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. If you ever had a gift, right there is one.
That was a combination of maybe some frustration, but that was a mental That was a mental as well as a physical mistake.
Let's see what happened here.
See the shoulders turn?
Yep, missed it way left.
Yeah.
All right.
He never held position at the line.
Here's Andy now in the 7th frame with the strike.
Andy wants this.
Oh, he got it. Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Dole with a strike here can go up 48 pins.
Last year, Andy won the pot of gold here at Star Lanes for $13,000, a prize fund that hadn't been won for a couple of years. So he's not a guy to choke under pressure usually. It's one of those things when he's feeling confident and he feels like he can take advantage of a match, good things can happen for him.
We're talking about a guy that squeaked by in everything this weekend.
Yep. He had just enough to make it.
And you know what? He's not squeaking by in this tournament title match, but he did leave the 6th in there. He has been kind of questionable on spares as he's missed the 4-pin earlier in this match.
Yeah, he's got to be more patient with his spare shooting. He's having a carries the ball into the swing, loads it up. Little better body position on that shot, and he's missed the spare again.
And he takes a 10 off and leaves the 6, and Andy just opened the door right back. You just can't do that. It's still, Andy's still leading in this match. He's leading by 14 pins, though.
Yeah, Andy's giving away 2 easy spares. He should be the go-away winner at this point. But
well, he's missed 2 spares that he makes 9 to 10 times out of 10.
Right.
And now John Hill with an opportunity. He's going to be thinking, okay, I've got a second chance here.
He moved way inside.
Oh, quality shot there. Now it's going to be interesting because John, if he can say, hey, I'm not done yet, can put a little pressure on Andy. And let's take a look at the replay.
Big step to the left. He knows there's a ball reaction out there. He just has to get the ball through the heads. So he lofted it down the lane. There's the ball reaction at about the 10 board. Nice shot.
Here's this tough lane on the foundation frame of the night. This has been, the left lane has been his nemesis all match long.
He's setting himself up in a little bit more of an open position. He's got to get the ball to clear the heads.
And he gets it in deep. Comes in Brooklyn and strikes. And there's the break back. But you know, Andy's got to be thinking, you know what? It's my fault. If I lose this match, I've had the opportunity to put it away.
Right. This, he's got too much hand, way too much hand in the ball for this particular lane. This lane just didn't get the same carry down characteristic that lane 10 did.
Well, here's Andy Dole now in the 9th frame. If the match is his, he can still lock it out.
Short. Oh, it's held line.
Held line and hit him thin. Watch him just go all over the place. Andy Dole with a big strike there. Andy Dole on a 193 pace. John Hill can strike out for 199.
I thought he had set this down a little short. Yeah, that's between 4th and 5th arrow. But it held line in there. Now, I don't think he could do that on lane 9.
Here it is, lane 9. Strike here, it's all over. This is for the title. 10 pins is a winner.
Got it down the lane, hold, won't hold line. Lane 9 has been very tough for everybody.
Well, you got to be thinking right now, he's missed 2 gimme spares.
Yes.
And that could cost him the title.
There's into the top of the backswing, good drive, good extension.
Really lifted up on that.
Really lifted up on that, and that's
almost up out of his shoes. Now here's the big spare. He's got to have this one. And he makes it.
Much more patient on that spare than he had been on the couple of previous shots.
He's looking at the scoreboard, knowing that he gave this match away. But John Hill has to double. Here's a spare conversion for Andy.
Simple enough. That's the way he wished he had shot a few more of them.
Perfect execution there. Here's the scenario. Good solid pin count forces John Hill to double to win the title.
7 counts, enough to force him.
It's enough to force John to double to win this.
John Hill can go off the sheet for 199. Anything less than that will be in the 180s. I think Andy was just playing for the head pin, just making sure he was getting good count.
Well, he knew that he just needed 7 pins or more to punch that 190 score, and that's forced John to double. Here it is. He needs this one. Strike. You have a chance to win. Anything less, second place. Does he like it? No.
Nope.
Andy Dole is your 2002 Nirvana Family Restaurant Open winner. He sneaks through qualifying. He snuck in through match play, and I'll be darned if he didn't sneak in and win this title this year.
All weekend long, it was Andy had just enough to get by, and the players made just enough mistakes that Andy could take advantage of it when he had to.
This title match brought to you by Fat Cats, serving all strays in Battleground, Indiana. Cafe's open. Call 567-2233. Fat Cats Cafe. And also want to thank Dean Hart's Refrigerated Specialties. We want to thank Ray Deanhart for all of his donations to not only the Nirvana Family Restaurant Open, but also youth bowling. And once again, Doug, it's been a successful tournament. We have a brand new winner for the 5th year. We've raised a lot of money, $1,000 for Habitat for Humanity, $670 to youth bowling here at Star Lanes, $268 for Market Square. This tournament not only gives to the bowlers, but it gives to the community as well.
Yeah, it's an outstanding opportunity for this tournament for some of the community things that we do for them to get financing. I know last year we did an outstanding fundraiser for the Lafayette Cancer Society as well as for high school bowling. We raised $850 last year in just 2 raffles in just Star Lanes. Now that the raffles and the promotions are going citywide, we're really getting great fundraising for these groups.
Well, we want to also thank Dexter Bowling Shoes and also Storm Bowling Products for their equipment, contributions, and donations that make us raising money to charities and youth bowling possible. So we want to thank them. Our 2002 winner, Andy Dole. We'll come back and talk to the winner and also the second place finisher right after this short timeout.
John Hill, who finished second this year. First of all, I want to congratulate you on outstanding performance this weekend. Let's talk a little bit about the title match. There were some pretty dramatic changes in the lane conditions from your first match to the title match. Explain what you were trying to do.
Well, taking nothing away from Andy, the game prior when we were off, the way he plays the lane, he burnt the head oil up in the area that I was laying the ball into, and it's unlike him. I can't throw the ball 100 miles an hour and get it to the burn. The ball was starting quick, so I was trying to move left and right, find some sort of lane oil to get the ball to push a little bit before it make a reaction. I just never found it, and I didn't make a good shot in the 10th. I had a chance and didn't follow through. So.
It's very tough when only 3 practice frames to try to get lined up for your second match, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is a little difficult, but on the other hand, you know, we had a game on here prior. The lanes will change a little bit, but better moves and better physical game. I threw the ball pretty badly that last game, and that's just my fault.
So we had an outstanding tournament. You did very, very well. Congratulations on a $600 payday.
Thank you.
Scott, it's all yours.
All right, thanks, Doug. Talking with John Hill, the second place finisher. Well, I have the tournament champion for 2002, Andy Dole. Andy, let's talk about a lot of things here. I know you have to be very excited about what has happened this weekend, but you snuck in qualifying, barely made it. You shot 234, I believe, your last game in the second round to sneak in a match play, and you had 2 tough matches. As a matter of fact, your last match to make the TV show went 5 games. How do you feel right now after running the table on the TV show?
I feel exhausted. It was just a long weekend, a lot of bowling. I think it was about 25 games or so, and every match I bowled in went right down to the wire. Very brutal weekend.
Well, you had some very mentally challenging games. You were bowling Dave Hurt in the semifinal match. You opened the door for Dave in the 10th frame, and Dave comes right back and opens the door for you. What was going through your mind right at that particular time?
Well, the lanes were constantly changing, and after I'd opened, I figured I'd gave the whole match away, and that lane changed for him too, and he made a decent shot, and the spare hooked up, and I caught another break.
Well, in the final match against John Hill, he shot 274 coming into his semifinal match, so you had to be worried there. You come out of the gate very strong. You missed a couple easy spares, but you sneak it out. Just tell about the viewers about the highs and lows of that final match.
Well, I started off and threw a great shot, and then I threw one of the better shots, and I leave a smash 8-pin, and I come back, and I catch a break on the Brooklyn, so I felt that made up for the 8-pin, and then I did. I blew 2 easy spares. The left lane was very brutal. I don't think I ever really figured it out. Just like John mentioned, the lanes were constantly changing, and I caught the breaks where I needed them and came through in the end.
Well, I know the owner of the Nirvana Family Restaurant, Spiro Moises, would be totally thrilled. We had our record number of entries, 143 this weekend. So on behalf of Nirvana Family Restaurant and myself, the tournament director, here is a check for you for $600. And also in the trophy, $600 worth of $1 gold coins for the 2002 Nirvana Family Restaurant Open. Andy Dole, let's give him a round of applause. Congratulations. Hold the trophy up, Andy. Worked hard all weekend to deserve it. For my partner, Doug Weedman, and myself, Scott Gilmore, I want to thank all of our sponsors this year, Spiro Moises, especially for the Nirvana Family Restaurant. We'll see you next year in 2003. So long, everybody.